Hello, I'm John Binns, and it's good to be with you again for another of these thoughts for the day. And so we are still in this time of the coronavirus. And if there's one hard fact about what's happening to us as a community is that it is a time of pain and of suffering for many people. There are so many stories of suffering of different kinds, affecting people in different ways. And so, as a church community, we have a message of hope. But I wonder what that message might be and how it can make sense to us and the people who we meet. Let me tell you about something which happened to me a long time ago, but which still stays very vividly in my mind. And it concerns someone that I knew, William Gallatley. Now, William, when I knew him, was in his 40s. He had a wife and 3 children. He'd had a wild life. He was born on a farm in South Africa. He'd spent time in prison. He'd wandered around the world. But when I knew him, he was ill. I'm no doctor, so I don't know exactly the diagnosis, but his heart was only partly working. He was bedridden. His feet were beginning to go gangrenous because the blood wouldn't circulate properly around his body, and he was in bed. I used to go and spend time with him. We prayed together. Often I would hold a bedside communion service with him and reflect upon the message of the gospel. As time went on, I got more uncomfortable. I wondered, are these just empty words I'm giving him? Is there any real hope behind the things which I seem to say day by day? And one day I said to him, William, I really don't know what I can say in this situation. Maybe all we can say is that somehow God is with us. I remember vividly. He sat up in bed and he looked at me with a real piercing gaze. He said, "What do you mean? That's all you can say. What about all those things we've been discovering? That love of God which enfolds us, that comfort and that strength, that promise of life." Well, I felt duly rebuked as I went away from his house that day. I've always remembered his words and that conversation we had, because there was an authority behind what he said about a God of love, that there is no place which is so dark that the light of Christ can't reach it. No despair which is so great that hope cannot penetrate it. Well, those words have stayed with me over the years with an authority. And I hope they might reach you too in times of darkness and difficulty, that they may speak with conviction of a God of love who never leaves us. And so we give thanks today and pray that somehow we may open our hearts and make a discovery of God who reaches us, cares for us and loves us at all times and all places.